Now I see his face, I see his smile. Such a lonely place, no golden mile. His eyes tell morbid tales of his black heart. His deeds through ages past tell of his heart. I see his face, I see his smile. Time to die. Oh, an angel from below changed my dreams. I want for glory's hour, for wealth's esteem. I wish to sell my soul to be reborn. I wish for early riches, don't want no crown of thorns. I'll see his face, I'll see his smile. Time to die. Oh, oh, oh. I was born a fool, don't want to stay that way. Devil take my soul with diamonds to repay. I don't care for heaven, don't you look for me to cry. And I will burn in hell from the day I die. I'll see his face, I'll see his smile. Time to die. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, that's right, don't you? See his face, see his smile, time to die. Oh, oh. Will the circle be unbroken? Oh Lord, oh Lord. Yet another podcast being launched. This is kind of a demo. It's about the Prince of Darkness. It's about the Lord. The Prince and the Lord. Yeah, that's right. In heaven, they were once together. And then they became separate. I guess something happened up somewhere near the pearly gates. And a man known as Lucifer then became burned forever in a lake of fire. And you see him smile. I mean, you see his face, you see his smile. Time to die. Oh. Yeah, that's right. I'll always be with the light, always with the Lord. Love you, Jesus. You're the man. I'll always be fascinated with songs like The Prince. But I'll take you out with will the circle be unbroken? Oh Lord, oh Lord. See his face, see his smile, time to die. Oh. Yeah, that's right. No, 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 no. Yeah, Sean.
He's an Asian guy? Huh.
Friday night, what you gonna do? Say you don't know. Grab a bong, grab a beer. It's time for Kenny's show. Help me, Kenny, young boy, you might be Kenny. You might suck some dick. It's hard for the TV show. He don't say much, but you never know what you might see, what you might hear. Peter calls him once a night to remind him he's a queen.
So you don't need to hear the rest. You get the idea. See his face, see his smile. Time to die. Who's that indicating? A man that was once known as Lucifer. Nah. All right, now we'll get into my favorite. I try not to type gospel to him. And I'll play it a little bit then. I'm going to play a Bible quote that It's in a famous movie. Right. Right. It's in Pulp Fiction. I began to know about stuff in the Bible. This does not seem to be a complete soundtrack. That's fucking weird. Said it's the original motion picture. I don't see any dialogue in it. I think that's all BS. Yeah. Hello. You missed the Diamond Head song and part of Will the Circle Be Unbroken. Well, I thought he's been around since 38 with his music. Start with a track about him. I don't think Diamond Head's saying they worship the devil or anything. They're just doing a song about him. I can read you the lyrics to the chorus. See his face, see his smile, time to die. You don't need to put all darkness. It's called The Prince. It's only about one person. If you heard the other lyrics, it's all the way about him. And will the circle be unbroken with the Carter family, including Mr. Johnny Cash? It's about the Lord. I was trying to find a full version of the Pulp Fiction because that's that Bible quote that Jules uses before he blows somebody away. Okay, I guess you weren't interested in the topic. That's strange. I guess I'll try and find an official Pulp Fiction to play it anyways because it's interesting. One result. I'll get to the people mentioned in the post about this. I had to erase because I couldn't turn the mic off. People call in and stuff. You gotta be able to turn the mic off at some point. It's having real difficulty. That's why I had to erase that. But in the original post, that eventually got erased because I don't know. I couldn't work my mic. It was horrible, so I had to delete that. Start new. It's confusing. It's stupid. Freaking technical difficulty. Right. Said the 27 Club will be talked about. There'd be no devil music without them. I won't start with Mr. Johnson. I'll start with the most mesmerizing, charismatic one of them all, my most favorite, Mr. Jim Morrison. Mr. Morrison. Concert in his head. Well, you make a deal with somebody for your soul that concert in your head can be performed. And he's in a lake of fire, light my fire. Very similar to Satan's situation. Yeah. If not divine intervention, Krieger might have written that song all by himself. Then it may not have been a number one hit. Yeah. Yeah, there's that. And I'm saying that when I look at the old videos, old films, I can't keep my eyes off him. If I was there in person, I wouldn't be either. Man did have mesmerized capability. More is the modern day version of Dionysus, the orgy god. So there's that. So he kind of is godlike, being a rock star and all that. With made a deal to be well known. I mean, light my fire. He's a wake of fire. Not a big difference. Right. Favorite gospel tunes that I didn't play so far. There's now a genre, blues gospel. Strange. That is a thing. It started in Blues Brothers 2000. They took John the Revelator, classic Blind Lemon Jefferson blues tune, and turned it into gospel tune. Yes. Who's that riding John the Revelator? Tell me who that riding John the Revelator? With the book of the seven seas. Now tell me who's that riding John the Revelator? The whole chorus, commanded by James Brown. Yeah, he could sing soul, he could sing funk, he could sing. Give him anything, he could sing gospel too. Why is that funny? I don't know. Don't freak out if you can speak on this. Speak. If not, then you don't have to go away. You don't. It's interesting stuff. I would say The Doors, why Jim Morrison's also my favorite of the 27 Club. Probably Before Death put out the most amount of work out of the whole club. I mean, Robert Johnson, finding people that could record him, probably put out enough to leave behind a lifetime of legacy and influence the entire world of blues, but not 6 full albums. Possibly he probably made 1 or 2 recordings in the session, and it might have added up to maybe 1, 2 albums. That's probably it. Not 6. And further albums and lost art since. Sessions, recordings that they made at London Fog, probably just to impress their friends. Like, you gotta hear how we're playing, man, if you haven't been at the club. We got a recording of it. Right, so they have that locked in the vault. They have a lot of stuff. They're definitely living up to the legacy of Morrison. But Nirvana put out almost that amount. 3 studios. That Rarities Collection, Insecticide, and various live albums. Right. The Doors also put out various live albums also. And continue to today. Right. Oh, but really the masterstroke was Jimi Hendrix owns his own studio. What? He could only really put out 4 albums while he was alive. His father, Al, put out a lot of work since then, so he left behind hundreds of albums. Burning the candle at both ends. Recording constantly. Well, all music prior to Robert Johnson's intervention and meeting with Satan was God's music. Classical, folk, you name it. It was all his for the taking. Even early pop music. And even blues before Crossroad Blues was God's music. The people that laughed at Robert were Sun Ra, a few other people. Huge, major star. And blues wasn't one guy at tour and a guitar. It was very jazzy type stuff in those days. Right. It was. Right. Nobody learns full guitar that's mediocre and sucks at it in less than 2 years. No. It doesn't happen. Even if you're the greatest guitar player that ever played, it takes way longer than that. Way longer. Even if you had the time to have 3 lessons a day for 3 hours each lesson, it still would take years. Not less than 2. Yeah. I would say great composers in the time of God's music. Beethoven, even though they thought he was really insane. Yeah, there's that. Right. Gershwin, that's not quite Satan's time in music yet. You're veering near it. Near it. Because he was more of a modern day guy than Beethoven. Bach was quite wonderful also. Folk singers, before Johnson intervened in the world of music, Woody Guthrie. He was Pete Seeger. They were definitely in the realm of all that. Alex Lumix. Yeah, all these people were involved in the original folklore era before Bob Dylan entered the landscape. Yeah. Right. So there's that. Well, blending stuff folk into rock and folk kind of into pop is kind of under the realm of the devil's music because it's rock, and rock is right off the vine of blues, especially crossroad blues. It is. But, when it was pure folk and nobody's mixing anything, before 1938, the devil wasn't in the district of anything. That's when it was God's folk music. Pretty much. Great spiritual albums. I'd say Love Supreme. I read a bit. I forget what book, but I read a bit, or the name of it. I read a bit on the Coltrane, John, and definitely Love Supreme. One of his best ever. This is Poem to God, but all the way. That's why throughout any track he just says Love Supreme, oh Love Supreme. Right. I don't think Train was religious. With all the touring, playing, you make a new album, you want it to be successful, you got to hit the road, all that. But then you have this new album called Love Supreme, and every time you play a new track from it, you're talking to God in a way. And you're on your stage with your band going, Love Supreme, playing some more, and then going some more, Love Supreme, Love Supreme. Yeah, I mean, can't get more I love God than that. Yeah, it virtually can't. In fact, there's a guy that was in a new hardcore band in recent times. I think one of the other guys is trying to put it back together. This guy wants to put hardcore with some strings and put gospel in there somewhere too. Well, I'd say do it, but why do you think orchestras and strings are mostly used on the upper level when people have huge successes or plan to? Like they have enough money to finance maybe not full orchestra, but a little bit, and then they bring in the full orchestra because they're in the mainstream level. I go out, find some young musicians that play like a cello and a bass, and then you have a willow string, and then in between harder tracks. If I were in my mix in the gospel, then so you can't punk up gospel. You can add other styles like R&B and all that, but the bastard child of rock doesn't really mix well with gospel, right? Nor did crossover or country or rockabilly on that step right there with Cash. So he would just do a gospel tune separately on the album, not trying to change it in any way forward, just have it what it really is. Right. You can step certain flavors into it, but you don't want it to really derive from what it is and lose its message by adding your style to it. Maybe your style blends with it well. I don't know. It all depends. I love hardcore because that's what all my friends were into, and that's what I got into. It doesn't blend well with gospel. It wouldn't. I mean, like pop and rock blend well with it, like Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond can write anything. I'll talk about his gospel now. I wish you'd be joining. I'd rather. But Brother Love's Traveling Show. Clearly his best gospel tune. Yeah, if I was doing karaoke or we're in a cover band, there's no way my range can handle something that masterful. Yeah, it's well beyond my world, but Holy Holy, his other gospel tune, I have sung along to. I could probably do it if I practiced. It's definitely within my range. It's easy. Brother Love's Traveling Show ain't easy. Well, Neil was versed songwriter and singer that he could go from one key in a way to another in his voice. His range was very wide, that he couldn't just stay simple, like a punk singer or an uncomplicated song pop singer. Right. Like their songs aren't that complicated. They just got to pop. Right. So they haven't written the most complicated songs in the world, so the lyrics aren't getting super complex yet. That's my level. If it's too complicated, it'll go way out of my range. Yeah. Right. If I started a ska-core band, I couldn't cover much of the Boss Tones. Dickie's gravelly voice. It's amazing, but it's way out of my range. Only that guy can get that pissed off at certain moments or throughout a whole song if it's the early days. Yeah. I get pissed off with that great gravelly fucking song voice built for ska-core. So it was built for hardcore before that. It was. I could jump up and do my favorite cover probably, depending on where the range is for hardcore. Yeah, that's just the way I am. More great gospel. Of course, there is the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Began singing in church like most of these people, like Johnny Cash and all that. She can put her voice on anything, and it still seems like a gospel tune, even if it isn't. Because, yeah, because that's the power of her range and voice and ability when she was here. Yeah, Aretha could really belt out. Say a Little Prayer. That's a classic too. Yeah, one of the best ever. More of those. Well, in a minute. uh, let's see. Of music about him, or things in that subject, Diamond Head also have. That's all right. Also have. Am I evil? My mother was a witch. Like a little bitch. Or stupid little bitch. Then in some way, like, am I evil? Then he answers the question, yes, I am. I am man. Yeah, it goes on like that. All right, that's cool. Well, at least that new TikTok follower will know I don't do Telegram or WhatsApp with a lot of people, and definitely none of you on this app. Stop freaking asking. Put in the profile. That's where it goes. I guess nobody was interested in this. I hate when you want to talk about something no one else does. That's Halloween. Oh, you're back? Guess you still want to talk. This is okay. Well, you know, these 27 clubbers, at least they left behind a legacy that will be remembered forever. They're never going to be forgotten. They didn't live long enough to be boring. Like, what happened to this guy? They're now has been. They haven't made a record in 15 years. They didn't have that long to be around to not make a record for like 10 years or something. Right? They made as much work as they could during the time period that they existed in popular culture. That's it. Yeah, well, you know, the Dark Lord moves fast. For some people like Kurt Cobain, it was too fast. Well, when you come from the world of underground, you're a punk. It's going to hit you fast. None of the rest were punks, so they were good with it. They're like, oh yeah, with so much money and fame, I could buy my own studio, sit there for 12 hours a day. Right. Hendrix took advantage of it. Yeah. All right, moving on to back to the old Might Eaters. Well, look at the post grunge thing with all the Christian rock bands just becoming friggin' huge. POD. Never really my cup of tea, but huge. I was more into Creed at a certain point. And now those guys went out and formed Alter Bridge. Probably not with Scott Stapp, but you know, not everybody can step back into being a lead singer in that kind of type of band. Maybe he's doing something else. Maybe he formed a whole nother band and shied away from Christian rock. Or maybe he just, life happened and he couldn't do it anymore. Things like that occur. Who knows what the story is? He didn't form a new band with those guys. Of course, the band that what's that fucking Canadian band? Damn it. Can't think of it. People are always making fun of them. But even like big old hair metal bands like Wasp, once Christian. Strange, but it's true. They were a Christian rock band called Sister. Pretty soon, their bass player saw a bug on his hand or something, killed it, and he said, oh, it's one of those annoying freaking hornet wasps. That's a great name for a band. You had him there. Truly, absolutely was. Wasp is a great name for a band. People that have been on the other side, the dark side, that had to quit everything because drugs and drinking, all that got in the way, and now they're Christian. Marilyn Manson, Mr. Not real name Marilyn Manson, Mr. Bryan, also known as Marilyn Manson, was in fact a minister in the Church of Satan. Had to get. Oh yeah, Nickelback. That's the one. Yeah. But you know, Sammy Hagar dug him, and I have a big respect for the Red Rocker. I dug deeper into their heavier sounds. If he's digging on it, because he went and hang out with a bunch of guys and dig their music that everybody's making fun of. Yeah. He said something like, you gotta hear that. You gotta get deep into the sound, man. I pay attention. I do. It's important. Right, so that's a sign that Manson or Brian got sober, and in all these programs, AA, all that, you have to believe in higher power. To the AA people, it doesn't matter, or program people, it doesn't matter if it's a damn flying spaghetti monster, which probably doesn't exist. To them, that's just higher. You want to go in for the long haul, like, I really seriously can't do this anymore. Then Jesus is the higher power you most certainly must be selecting if you like to stay sober. Right. Mustaine also. Dave, and Dave was a junkie. 13 rehabs. Bit of an alcoholic, I'd say, too. Right. 13 rehabs. Yeah, that's almost as many times that I've tried to quit smoking. Almost 9 times now. I've almost got Dave numbers. Damn. For his drugs, yeah. I'm sure we and he are glad he quit. Yeah. I don't pay attention to most of his posts online if they're like Christian related because I don't like people that are like they're famous to make posts that like it's all about that and they're trying to get people into it that aren't into it, right? But when he posts stuff about like new album or talking about he just mended the relationship with him and James Hetfield, and that's newsworthy stuff that we want to hear. It's been decades. Yeah, look at more sober people. The Vincent Ferdinand, Alice Cooper himself. True, he wasn't that far from Heaven's Gate. His father is a minister. Was, probably still is, if he's even alive, or when he was alive. Right. Mr. Ferdinand. Yeah. I mean, that kind of keeps you close to the gate of it all, in a way. Right? But like all sober people, if he fell out of it to be in the band, and then the band becomes famous and hit albums, drinking all the time, not being good in that way, destroying your body and life, then getting sober, especially when he fell off the wagon after he got completely sober, he got into coke and made some really terrible albums because he's all coked out. I haven't listened to them. I've heard terrible things. Absolutely. That they were just complete dog shit records. I don't want to listen. Yeah. Doesn't sound good that he wasn't in the right state of mind when he made all of that. He's on coke. Yeah. What do you really expect if you're trying to make great albums and you're all freaking coked out of your mind all the time? It's not going to be that great. I mean, Rick James could do that, but that's different music. I mean, funk and disco kind of solidifies itself to coke and high drug use. It's part of the whole thing. Rock, not so much. Also, sleeping around, right in the funk and disco thing. Rock is really about traveling the world with the girl you love. Yeah, that's a romantic thing. It's not really like, well, baby, I love you, but you see that hot, sexy bitch over there? I want to fuck you and her tonight. It's not really working. You're in a disco atmosphere. It's like, yeah, we're not really exclusive. And, anyways, it's the 70s. I thought we were fucking all kinds of people. We never completely committed, and I'm gonna go sniff a few lines and fuck that hot bitch. And especially if it's before 1979 and there was no AIDS. 1975, just get a shot of VD. I mean, if I was around then, I might be a different guy and I might not be allergic to penicillin. Right. Well, if I was a full adult, 20 something years old, not allergic to penicillin. Right. No AIDS, nothing that's going to kill you with no cure. When syphilis and gonorrhea, if you don't get checked, they will freaking kill you. Yeah. Like, pretty much, syphilis killed Al Capone. Pretty much. He could have got, they had the shot then. They had penicillin. Just he waited too long. He waited till it affected his whole entire body, and there's no helping him then. Yeah. You gotta catch it right away. It's the damn sniffing the coke, running the freaking speakeasy, and fucking the whores. And of course, those whores had diseases. They're whores. Hello? Yeah. I guess you just like listening. I don't know if I'm gonna be talking to myself for much longer. Uh, at certain points, all right. I guess you don't want to talk. There's a point where God and Satan's music merged. The creation of progressive rock. Yeah. The backbone of that music probably started way before. In fact, that music dates back to Africa. Guarantee they had a Africa Philharmonic. They've always had things like Philharmonics, and brass was in the pops. Yeah, Africa had a melting pot of sounds between brass, I'm sure strings, hymns, probably a few other things we don't even know about. So that's really the invention of progressive anything, progressive jazz, progressive anything, really. And then the mixing of jazz artists with popular orchestras, and then certain artists having their own orchestra. In a sense, this is the next progression, like the Duke Ellington Orchestra. In a sense, your next progression in things progressive. Yeah. Or even like the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Jazz orchestras. Mixing. Right. And in even more popular world, the Beach Boys and others hiring the Wrecking Crew in the 60s. Yeah, that led to the Moody Blues and others taking pure rock. Beatles were mixing rock and pop on a level of progressive. The Moody Blues sang up an arrival of the blueprint of progressive metal, Deep Purple. Yeah. So that's a mixing of God and the dark god Satan's music together. Yeah. Oh, I guess nobody wanted to call in. I could have done an hour. Well, I hope you enjoyed the conversation I basically had with myself. I wish I had other people's points of view on this subject. Maybe one day I will. That'd be quite great. Amazing. I'd say country before the devil was in the district of mostly all music. It's really people mixing country with rock. Country prior to 1938. God's music also. Then the devil entered the district. Pretty soon there'd be all kinds of mixing. And he was in on it. I'll just grace you with the lyrics from what we opened up with. I've seen his face, seen his smile. Time to die. That's the Diamond song called The Prince. Will the circle be unbroken? Oh Lord, oh Lord. All right. I hope listeners enjoy this, even if it's just me talking. Get down to it. Have a great Halloween. I gotta go watch some Michael Myers stuff soon. All right. Halloween. And soon I'll be playing Halloween music. Ooh, on X. Probably some point after dusk or after I finish the first movie. Something like that. For an hour plus, hour and a half, something like that. All right, see you at the spooky Halloween music show. Ooh, yeah, that's right. Know you. Yeah, Sean.
I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw the hearse come rolling for to carry my mother away. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Well, I went back home. Home was lonely for my mother. She was gone, and all my family there was crying. For out home felt sad and alone. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Undertaker, 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 won't you please drive slow for the lady you are hauling? Lord, I hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. It's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Yeah, that's right. Praise Jesus. That's right. Know you. Yes.
I mean, some of these podcasts that you watch, Ross Dog Network, literally, they should have bullets in their heads.
I never cared much for moonlight skies, never winked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. Never went for afterglow or candlelight on mistletoe. But now when you turn the lamp down low, I'm beginning to see the light. I used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark. That's a 4-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern's shine. I never saw robin rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. I never cared much for moonlight skies. I never winked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. I never went to afterglow. I never went for afterglow or candlelight on mistletoe. But now when you turn the lamp down low, I'm beginning to see the light. You know, I used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. And then you came in with the spark, that's a 4-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Yeah, that's right. Enjoy the